It's pleasure. I'm greeting you all at this hospitable land of Tatarstan Republic. Welcome to Russia, or welcome to Tatarstan Republic, with Kazan city with thousands years of history, of combination of West and East. Welcome to Tatarstan, which can share the 100 years of experience of preserving the culture and heritage, not only in the Russian Federation, but also of the heritage of those cultures which are presented here at our Kazan summit. So I'm greeting you all in frames of this anniversary summit. So I'm wishing success, all of us. And I want to mention the words of the President Putin, who told that Kazan is the center of attraction of international events. Recently in Kazan, exactly in Tatarstan, a sports competition took place, which was named the Games of Future, and we are actively participating in sports projects in BRICS country sports projects. They start in autumn, and in autumn, BRICS country summit will also take place in Tatarstan. So we clearly understand that this is the tradition, this is the history, and in preserving of the history, the Ministry of Culture of the Russian Federation is playing very significant role. The Ministry of Culture sent us the words of wishing and goods. So I'm reading it, dear colleagues, dear participants. I'm greeting you at this forum of this 15th Forum of Economic Cooperation. The dialogue of culture is the most fruitful way of communication between two countries, and it provides uninterruptible connection between two countries and between the generations. Today we have representatives of Russia and of Islamic world, and they will discuss the questions of education, of culture, and of development of creative industries. This event will give us the opportunity to exchange our experience in developing the culture and in growing of profitable cooperation. And I'm sure that new ideas and suggestions will be discussed, and new business contact and partnership will be done here. I thank Olga Borisovna Lyubimova for her greeting, and of course we are waiting for her at Kazan Forum in 2025. Intercultural dialogue is greatly attended here in Tatarstan. We do lots of work in the field of development of culture, of education, of youth education, and to the cooperation between countries. These projects are very popular amongst the Tatarstan citizen and the Russian Federation citizens, and they are highly demanded by those who visit such events and participate in it. We must mention that around 18,000 of students study in of Islamic students study in Tatarstan, and they get a full program of education, and we try to preserve our education system according to the traditions and to keep it sustainable and able to express humanitarian values which have been existing for years. Okay, now I'm giving the floor to our wonderful speakers. They are quite empowered, quite important for us, and they will share relevant and significant information with our participants. And dear participants, if you have any questions, you may ask them after the presentations. So I'm moderating the session, and I will check for the time of each presentation. I'm giving the floor to Director of the State Hermitage, the member of the Presidium of the Russian Science Academy, the President of the Union of Museums of Russia, Petrovsky Mikhail Borisovich, who is the historical sciences doctor, professor. Thank you very much. For me, it's a big honor and big pleasure to speak in front of you. Yesterday, we discussed lots of topics with our colleagues. I have just returned back from the Kazan Kremlin, where we saw many wonderful historical monuments. What I want to start with, we noticed that nowadays culture rules the policy. And our policy is built on the traditional values, and culture is taken into account now. So, although it was a bit unexpected topic before, but now it becomes more and more relevant. The culture of human value, of human sovereignty, has becoming more and more important, and it is a part of Islamic culture, and it is a part of their world heritage. There are two simple mechanisms of development of culture as a value. So these are museums and universities. I would like to give a couple of practical examples. I'm the dean of the Eastern Department of St. Petersburg University. You see on the left picture, this is the picture of the founder of the university. He is between two cultures. We live in the combination of two cultures in Russia. And for us, I quote Quran and Surah. This is the famous quotation, and that Allah doesn't change people unless themselves change themselves. So religion always argues on the free will of a human being, and we always argue which is our free will and where is God's decision. So this is the basis of discussion between different cultures and different religion. This is my room of Hermitage director. This is my own collection of swords. This is my room in the Hermitage Museum, and many students visit our museums. So they like to see my collection a lot. This is a new dish that you see on the right side. And it has Arabian inscription where it is said that study in the beginning is bitter, but in the end it is sweet, sweeter than honey. You know, it's very ancient saying, and the study was built on the basis of cultures. And usually these sayings about education, they have a religious basis. And, you know, the same line also takes place in Europe, like in Spain. And so that this is universal thought which combines or connects different cultures. This is another example of the dialogue of different cultures. This is the horn of Peter I. It's actually an Arabian souvenir. This picture is completely in Muslim lifestyle, although the horn is an attribute of Christianity. So this is the example how the different cultures come close to each other, Christianity and Islam. So it was prepared by Muslim experts, and they are decorated with European decorations. So this attribute tells us about our history. So we got it from Peter the Great. And this is the highlights of Muslim art and culture. This is water carrier, and on his back we see this old nomadian story of torturing. This is an engraved picture with these lines of the color metal. Although this attribute was restored. And here you see how it was restored later. This museum shows genuine attributes. So it was renovated until this condition. And we as scientists and as historians, we see the things, how they were old, but later they were renovated. Next slide, please. When I was describing the scene of torture This is the Mongolian souvenir. And we are preparing an exhibition. And this is the carpet from Mongolia. So these are the motifs of nomaden art. And again, we see the scenes of torturing with skiffs and so on. This is actually a very important topic of art, this motif of laceration or ringen, of torment. Another souvenir we got from Qin dynasty from China, and it is interrelated with Romanov dynasty. So here we see the dialogue of cultures. This is Muslim vessel made in China. And here you see a half month, half moon, which is one of the attributes of Allah. So this is the piece of art which combines China and Muslim, and also some European techniques of painting. Next slide. This is crystal lamp. Crystal lamp. Wonderful lamp from mountain crystal. It's made in Egypt in the 11th century. It's a brilliant sample of Muslim carving. And you see the lamp and candle wick inside of that. Crystal was very valuable in that period of time, and this finding was very valuable. Therefore, such findings were brought by crusaders, and it was very valuable findings. However, the church considered this vessel as something which can contain the water, so they made a water or wine container out of this lamp. So this is the example of combination of two words. This finding is kept in Hermitage Museum. And later, in the end of the 19th century, it was demonstrated as a vessel, water container. But in the end of the 20th century, it was demonstrated as a lamp. The next finding is Jerusalem keys. This is the key from David Tower in Jerusalem. It was gifted to Nikolai I as the symbol of Russia in the Middle East. You see the crosses there?
В Мекке и для американских сооружений. Если мы посмотрим сегодня, как открывают накануне Пасхи, вернее, каждое утро двери храма Гроба Господня в Иерусалиме, там точно вот такой же замок и такой же ключ, который, так сказать, вечно переходит из эпохи в эпоху, из культуры в культуру. Так что кто хозяин Иерусалима, вот ключ хозяин Иерусалима, все остальные бренные. Вот такие несколько сюжетов, по поводу которых музей рассказывает, говорит, и на самом деле эти сюжеты все очень широко могут освещаться, расширяться, и они говорят о том, что...
So the world is unified, and we must try to seek a way to stay ourselves and to be unified with others. It seems easy, but it is not possible in every case. Sometimes we fluctuate from side to side, especially during the last 20 months. And the task of the culture in general is to keep the balance. And I would not get tired to repeat it. We here in Kazan and Tatarstan. Tatarstan is one of the examples that in 21st centuries we managed to maintain this balance. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let us thank all together our speaker for such an insight, in-depth insight into the arts and a virtual tour over Hermitage we have had together now. Thank you for your statements, and I believe our colleagues will continue them. The dialogue of cultures is the difference in perception, but at the same time, it is about the unity of the world. And of course, we understand it for sure that everything has its age. The task of the culture is to maintain it and to pass it to the next generations. And for any region and for Tatarstan as well, the most important thing is to preserve the treasures in the universities and museums and involve the universities and museums into the whole work done. The floor is given to the Minister of Astrakhan region, Olga Prokofyeva, Minister of Culture. She's from a hot region. Welcome to our cold Tatarstan. Thank you. Actually, we are very close regions. We have even some relative connections. Yesterday, I visited Kazan Kremlin, and as I learned, the director of Kazan Kremlin is from Astrakhan, which is very pleasant. Mr. Piotrovsky mentioned the dialogue of cultures using museum artifacts as an example. Let me continue this topic showing an example of interaction between the governments using some modern projects as a case. Thank you for the opportunity to speak at this forum. Actually, the eastern direction has been determining historically for many regions of Russia. Our region, Astrakhan region, is like a point of support for Russia in the Caspian Sea. We concentrate resources and potential. We are of strategic importance. We are a strong strategic hub connecting the ways from Europe and Asia East. We take a key position in one of the shortest and most economically profitable ways south-north. Our nearest neighbors, united by the Caspian Sea, are Azerbaijan, Iran, Turkmenistan. They are our main partners for cooperation. The near Caspian region is a unique region in terms of its historical experience. It is uniting different confessions and cultural traditions. And for countries united by the Caspian Sea shore, today are seeking for the ways of interaction in terms of culture and exchange of professional experience and young talents. We are a kind of flagship in building humanitarian connections. Of course, this activity has some history. Today, we are proceeding from some regulatory documents and laws. We have an agreement on cooperation. We have direct agreements with Azerbaijan, Tajikistan, and some provinces of Iran. We have programs and plans. They include a number of traditional events determining the agenda of our communication with Caspian countries. Let me dwell on them. In Astrakhan, the Caspian Forum will be held which serves for forming the unified information field and provides a constructive platform for dialogue. This year, the forum will be held from August 16 and will be continued by a cultural festival, Caspian Seasons. I will return to this a little bit later. And Caspian countries do their best to remove any contradictions in their information field, which helps us a lot and provides a big advantage to the forum. This year, the forum will focus on the dialogue of cultures as a basis for the development of Caspian region. When discussing the peculiarities of the Russian language in the intercultural cooperation, we are speaking about reading. Today, Russia ranks the second in the global rating for reading countries. It is not a mere occasion that our president, Mr. Putin, supported a teacher of Russian language and literature in Astrakhan in the initiative to open the centers of friendly literatures in other countries, in Azerbaijan, in Iran, to promote the tradition to read. In the coming days, the first center of such kind will be presented. It will be opened on the basis of Astrakhan library. And another project was launched recently. It's a youth festival to be conducted in our region for the 4th year in a row. And during the festival, Astrakhan becomes a literature capital in the near Caspian region, where the attendants can meet modern writers. We also unite modern publishing houses. We conduct roundtables and show performances based on the children literature and modern literature. For the second year in a row, not only writers from the Caspian countries take place, but also writers from Belarus. To a large extent, the topic of reading is connected to movies and staging some books. It also draws attention to the books of young authors. In the new conditions, another important topic arises, which is the right understanding of the reality. And the forum provides. We also conduct the days of cinema, of films. In 2022 in Ashgabat, Mr. Putin supported the idea of the Union of Cinematographists to conduct an international movie forum. Such a forum was conducted in 2023, and we hope that Astrakhan region will become a permanent platform for conducting such an event. And we also actively use music to unifying our countries. We conduct Caspian Seasons. We provide staged performance of classical opera. And we involve the stars of the global scene. We invite a unique team, a symphonic orchestra made of the musicians from Russia, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, and other states. We also want our youth to follow the traditions of friendship, and today we are forming a symphonic orchestra out of young people from south regions of Russia and near Caspian region. We invite talented young people to participate in our events. Usually big spaces make people different, but we are doing our best to unite people, to bring them together. Please launch the video. I would like to show visually what we have. We must extend our cooperation with other countries and create mechanisms and enlarge our cooperation and preserve our cultural identity and create our own unique unified cultural code. We are convinced that these projects in the field of culture have a huge potential, ensuring the mutual understanding between peoples. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your speech. Thanks to your presentation, we have virtually visited this Astrakhan Caspian season event, and I believe all the attendants are invited to this event. Dear colleagues, our program is shifted a little bit. First, I wanted to present the projects to our guests who visited the Republic today to show that together we may achieve a lot, especially in the field of culture. Now let me give the floor to Mr. Larin, chairman of the Council of the Foundation of the Science and Cultural Development of the Republic of Tatarstan. This year, 2024, is the year of science. It happens so that Mr. Larin is also a business ambassador of the Business Russia in Iraq. He is the chairman of the Council of Board of Directors of the R&D Institute of Energy and Transport, Energotrans project. His positions sound in a quite a complex manner. So anyway, the floor is yours. Please speak about culture and about energy and about science. Thank you, Mrs. Fazleva. I'm very thankful for the possibility to be here. All speakers who spoke before me started saying that yesterday they visited Kazan Kremlin, but I did not visit it yesterday. It means you will visit it today. I hope so. But you mentioned a director who was there, and I'm also a director, and I was born in Astrakhan as well. I am from Astrakhan. That's why your presentation was very close to me. I feel like I visited home. I was born there and lived near the Astrakhan Kremlin. When introducing me, you mentioned that I am a head of a production company and a charitable foundation. But in reality, these organizations are interconnected very closely. Our company operates in 14 countries of the world, and on top of this in Russia. And its headquarters is located in Moscow. Out of the 14 countries, most of them are Muslim countries. And across the whole footprint of the company, this is a tradition that our foundation comes there as well, using the opportunity to do some good deeds. We actively work in Iraq. Let me expand more on our activities in Iraq. Well, the relationships between Russia and Iraq have a long history, both in terms of cultural relationships and historical, political, production. Today, the main areas of cooperation are the oil industry and defense industry. But Iraq is not only about the resources and power, force, but also about knowledge, culture, and arts. Let's take, for example, literature. In Iraq, the literature is, in literature, poetry dominates. In Iraq, it is a widespread genre, so in Europe, it is considered to be understood only by intellectual minority. And what I also love about Iraq, architecture. Mesopotamia civilization, it is one of the, it has one of the oldest architectural sites we can see available to us. It's not a mere coincidence that Iraq is called a cradle of the human civilization because the first states, the first cities appeared there. Our foundation works there starting from 2019. We preserve cultural heritage, work in the field of culture, support some scientific missions, expeditions, and we are trying to increase the number of social and cultural projects, joint projects between Russia and Iraq. Our foundation basically brought Russia-Iraq expedition from zero. It existed during the Soviet period, but then it ceased to exist, and now we revived it again, and they work on a yearly basis. This expedition even expanded its activities. It unites archaeologists, geophysics, archaeologists, dialectologists, florists, art academicians, and even biologists. This expedition surveys and examines the way gone by prophets to explore the whole world. It was the region where the urban society writing and state known to us appeared. And Iraqi agency offered us two ancient cities, Tel Aviv and Tel Dehal. We are digging there near the border with Iran. We pursue the goal to understand where Shumers came from. We found a lot of fragments and ancient ceramics dating back to more than 6,000 years ago. It took us a long time to prepare these expeditions. We established a network of reliable contacts in Iraq, and this expedition makes the road to learning about the most important and ancient monuments of culture. We are strengthening the reputation of Russia in the Middle East and are trying to create a favorable environment for Russian business there. And here I would like to refer to Mr. Piotrovsky's speech, and I agree with his statement that in the modern world, culture prevails over politics. And this is how our foundation works. The work of our foundation in that region helps business to operate there. Our foundation puts a special focus on the support of museums. We closely work with Iraq National Museum in Baghdad and with Basra Museum. We helped them create catalogs, and we also helped them establish and organize academic and scientific work. Here, a big role was played and is played by our academicians from St. Petersburg Institute of Writings. Every year, they visit Iraq. I want also to touch upon another thing which is related to educational programs. I propose to conduct active work to legalize Russian diplomas in Iraq. And we must extend the number of Russian institutes and universities whose graduates will be accepted as with their diplomas in Iraq. I hope we will be successful, because in the operation of our business, we see that skilled human personal talents are a crucial component in the success. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexander, for your being absorbed in the culture, for your empathy, for your education of youth, and for teaching not only Russians but also foreign students who are here with us at this Kazan forum and who share their impressions from the education. And thank you for your multidisciplinary expeditions that you were talking about, and for research in the culture. It's very important that the culture should be the component of science. Thank you for your presentation. Now I'm giving the floor to our wonderful guest, Aydarkhan Kaliyev. He's the Vice President of the Global Association of Craftsmen in Asian Pacific region, and a member of Eurasian Designer Union. Now the topic of craftsmanship is very popular globally. So our colleague is also the president of Aspada Fashion Week and the head designer of fashion house Asil Design, and in the same time he is PhD in technical sciences and a PhD in art study. How it is possible to combine technical sciences and art. Thank you very much, Leila Rinatovna. I'm from Kazakhstan, from the most southern place of Kazakhstan. This city is over 2,500 years old, and it was located on the Great Silk Way. So I would like to share my experience that Kazakhstan has become the member of this organization of Eurasian cooperation since 1995. And it is related to cooperation of culture, and this cooperation is the key factors for development of inter-ethnical and international relations, where the common heritage is the basis for cooperation of other culture. As it was discussed before, the dialogue of cultures is the basis of social and economical life. And particularly, I want to speak about fashion. Fashion is a new direction in this social projects. As part of Fashion Week is the project created 7 years ago, and if we tell about this project, It has over 20 partners in fashion weeks, including Paris Fashion Week, Milan, Amsterdam, Berlin, and other international fashion weeks. For 13 seasons that Aspara Fashion Week conducted, over 600 designers participated in this fashion week from over 50 countries, and it is not even a capital. Our city is just a provincial city. So Taraz city, located in Kazakhstan, which is over 2,500 years old, becomes the capital of fashion of Kazakhstan. How it's possible? This was just Fashion Week's center in Kazakhstan. We invited foreign guests, and it was wonderful. Taraz city is one of the biggest international fashion weeks, Aspara fashion weeks, and our foreign participants they donate for kinder houses and for our country. So fashion goes beyond the borders of just fashion. This fashion trend becomes more humanitarian and more social. Aspara Fashion Week is described by the strong internet resources like L network and so on, globally recognized media sources. What else I want to say about Aspara Fashion Week? Regarding Russia and Tatarstan. Aspara Fashion Week was visited by Maria Karlina, the founder of Iletsky, the famous textile brand in Russia. So you see them on these pictures. These are all famous Russian designers. Very famous celebrities in the area of design are listed, and they are on these pictures. So these were our events. Discussing Russia and Russian regions, we have very friendly and business partnership with Kazan University, with the culture department, due to the wise management of the Minister of Culture. On this picture, you see Naila Burganova, who is the founder of the famous brand Yeletsky laces, lace work. So she's a participant of international fashion weeks, and she participated in our fashion week. So we become famous all over the world. It means that the culture have no geographical borders. Our next participant is Yulia Kvashina from Russia, and many Russian designers participate in our fashion week. And Aspara Fashion Week is like a step towards other countries. So all these models and designers, they participated later in international fashion weeks. This is the participation of Sparta Fashion Week and ethnical festival in Kazan, also in Tiva city in the Siberia region, in Moscow, in St. Petersburg and Baikal region, and in many other events. This is the week in St. Petersburg. And a designer from Tatarstan here in the picture. And other famous designers, including designers of Tatarstan and the Minister of Culture of Astrakhan region. As part of Fashion Week project is developing very fast, and it preserves the traditions of Tatarstan garments, and it also make these garments famous in other countries. I also suggested Sparta Fashion Week to become a member of international fashion weeks. So our organization is very perspective. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. Indeed, the world of fashion brings us the renaissance of international culture and international craftsmanship. Also about also it brings the role of educational organizations in terms of study of the culture code of each country. I would say the fashion weeks are becoming more and more popular. I would say that this is the parade of our traditional clothes and dresses. So I would say comprehension of culture takes place through fashion. Another event that's happening now is the Forum of Young Entrepreneurs of various countries. They are developing the case related to Renaissance of the Center of Craftsmen, which we plan to create in our republic. It has caused a live interest in young generation of our republic. They want to recreate it as a part of a culture, and it's very pleasant that the young generation participates in this renaissance. Thank you very much for your alive interest towards our session. I thank the previous speaker for the presentation. Now I want to invite for the speech our next speaker, Dr. Naif Nahar Al-Samari. So we're giving you the floor. Dear Chief of the session, thank you very much for this opportunity to speak. Thank you for your presentations. And I think that everything is interesting here, and it reflects the dialogue of cultures. Everything that I've heard now, it was beautiful presentations, which reflects those light facets of the cultural dialogues. And actually, we cannot understand the dialogue of cultures unless we understand the meaning of globalization. So the globalization has two levels. First level is material globalization, and second thing is mental globalization. Material globalization is not difficult to understand. It's differences in our clothes, multinational clothes, and even your garment, dear chief of the session, are very pleasant to observe. And what about mental globalization? It's a different culture. It's different mindset. So according to material culture, we can perceive the mental culture of people. Here, I think in terms of Western paradigm of mindset and of thinking. I've heard lots of about chemistry, culture, industry. So this is material differences. But the dialogue in frames of culture is always complicated. Usually we behave ourselves in terms of a Western paradigm. I visited Russia, Western countries, and Arabian countries, and there is usually a similar paradigm of thinking. So my opinion is that we don't have a genuine dialogue of cultures. I think we have more or less a generalized understanding of culture. So we promote unconsciously a Western culture. Even when we study constitution of different countries, we see as if it is done according to one sample. So if we say about a genuine dialogue of cultures, then we should think differently. You know, I know several scientists from Europe, but I hardly can name one scientist from China or from Philippines, although there are thousands, tens of thousands of scientific researchers regarding psychology, regarding researchers in psychology and sociology. Who knows about Russian psychology or Russian sociology? Usually, whatever we know belongs to Western science and sociology. And we should conduct our dialogues about the level of consciousness, level of mentality. And this is what I mean under the term globalization. There are no things which were globalized under Eastern standards. So we should try to organize a globalization not only around Western type of thinking. When it was a championship of the world in Qatar, we didn't we didn't witness the dialogue of cultures. Even Messi, the player from Argentina, when the Qatar people put on Qatar garment on him, the Western participants were disappointed why he was dressed in this local garments. So was it the cultural dialogue? It's very frustrating. So my opinion is we should tend towards a real deep dialogue of our cultures. So we should look for a model of post-globalization. We should reject Western models of globalization. We should tend to genuine globalization. We should make every society, every country express themselves. So I see only one alternative of the genuine global alignment of cultures. Allah said in Quran, "O people, we have you were created from man and woman, and we made you different people and different nations. But still you are all equal." The main purpose of your creation, as Allah told, for you to learn each other, cultures. So this is all what is told in Quran. Regarding the globalization, we don't study the cultures of different countries. Who can say about any scientist? Who can name a scientist from Africa, for example? So I suggest a Quranic model of globalization as an alternative of this external globalization according to the Western paradigm that's happening nowadays. And in conclusion, I can say that if we want a genuine cultural dialogue, we should create this Quranic type of globalization, which will allow us to understand the culture of other countries indeed. When I came to Russia, I didn't know about this ethnical diversity in Russia. And I did know that Russia is full of harmony and that Russia understands both Arabic and Muslim mindset. So we request Russian people to form this new model of thinking. We want to find not that existing Western model of education, of culture. We want to find a different model of culture and education in Russia, based on the combination of cultures. Thank you all. I wish you peace. Thank you very much, dear Dr. Shamari. I think that you have proved that there are no indifferent people in this audience. Thank you very much for your suggestion, which is very important for the Russian Federation nowadays when we are forming this post-globalization model of the Russian Federation, when we have to come back to the original source, when we have to create new values which are not Western one. So thank you very much for your presentation. And in conclusion, I want to say, dear colleagues, these events, these meetings are very important and very significant because we understand that we have something that every one of us has something that we can share, that we can exchange our experience. So we think that we will invite Mr. Shamari to our educational classes, to our university, to Tatarstan Republic. So we will invite you to teach this to our students. And those applause which took place, which were taking place while your speech, were quite significant. Thank you so much. Dear colleagues, dear friends, I want to give the floor to Provost of International Institute of Tourism of Tajikistan, Professor Farhod Razopovich Sharopov.
Thank you, dear Mrs. Vazleva. Good afternoon, dear guests. First of all, I would like to thank the management of our university and the organizer of this large-scale forum. Today, indeed, it is a great honor to me to be able to share the experience of my country with you in the field of preservation of cultural heritage and the development of sustainable tourism. Why sustainable development is so important. I'm simultaneously the director of the Scientific Institute for the Sustainable Development and Green Economy. So I work with the problems of green economy and, of course, the preservation of cultural heritage. I believe, and I hope you agree with me, the development of tourism and culture are interconnected closely. The tourism facilitates the exchange, cultural exchange and cultural connections. And while cultural events and cultural sites may become an attractive destination for tourists, while contributing to the tourism industry and infrastructure of the region. Now we face a question, interaction between tourist and cultural heritage. Of course, usually there is such a development and there are many benefits, but there are disadvantages as well. On the one hand, it facilitates the familiarization of people worldwide with some specific cultural attractions and sites of a certain region, which may help preserve these sites. On the other hand, some unmanaged tourist flows may result in destruction of certain elements of cultural heritage. That's why we shall speak about cultural sustainable tourism. What is sustainable tourism? In our opinion, it is a crucial element in minimizing the negative impact on cultural heritage and on local population. We must develop strategies and policies aimed at preserving cultural heritage and facilitating benevolent cultural exchange, because this involves social responsibility and, of course, environmental balance. In the epoch of a special focus on cultural development and exchange, we believe we shall see tourism as an effective tool to preserve cultural heritage. This way, we will be able to show respect to cultural heritage and practices. One of the main advantages of tourism is that it may serve as an economic driver for local communities without destroying nature and local historical sites. This will help us preserve cultural heritage for further generations as well. This is what sustainable tourism is about. Tourism shall play a central role in the future development. We shall develop authentic tourism. It is connected to the tourists' interest in a deeper understanding of the culture of local communities. Tourists are more and more interested in having some local experience, not only visiting touristic sites. And to respond to this demand, many regions and countries develop initiatives and programs on the development of authentic tourism and support of local communities while preserving the cultural peculiarities and sites. There is also a task to minimize the negative adverse impact on nature and the life of local communities. Let me speak about the experience of our country. Tajikistan is very rich with nature and culture. Our government makes significant efforts to secure and protect these invaluable resources, understanding that they are the basis for attracting tourists, which contributes to our economy. In recent years, we have developed many programs and law initiatives aimed at the development of tourism, protection and restoration of our cultural and natural sites. One of such examples is the initiative of the leader of our nation, respected Imam Ali Rahman, an agency on the preservation of cultural and nature sites was created. And our president personally supervises the issues of tourism and preservation. We also successfully run a strategy for tourism till 2030. And the year 2023 was proclaimed a year of the development of tourism and craftsmanship. The development of green economy. By 2037, we have a program on the sustainable development of tourism. We actively cooperate with international partners and organizations to exchange experience and attract funds for the preservation of cultural heritage, which is an invaluable support in the work for conservation. Our aim, besides attracting tourists, also facilitate the protection of nature and contribute to the well-being of the communities and of the country's population. We take care about historical monuments that can be shown to the global community. We actively cooperate with UNESCO, and we have 4 UNESCO sites, 2 cultural and 2 nature sites that are enlisted on the UNESCO World Heritage List. Some of the applications were made together with our neighbor countries. The first UNESCO heritage site is Sarazm. This name is translated as the beginning of the land. It is one of the most ancient cities or settlements of the Central Asia. Recently, we celebrated 5,000-year anniversary of this town. Archaeological researches are conducted in this area. Sarazm also preserved the proofs of the existence of trade exchange between the dwellers of this area. The second site is the Silk Way, Zarafshan-Karakum corridor. This is a key section of the Silk Way of the Central Asia, hosting an ancient city, Penjakent, and a mausoleum. The third site is a National Park of Tajikistan, Pamir Mountains. They are located in the center of a so-called Pamir node. They have high plateau on the east and rocky mountains in the west, and very rich with flora and fauna. Its height is 7.5 thousand meters. There is also a glacier in this region. And the fourth site are Tugay forests of the tiger bulk conservation area, which creates a wide Tugay ecosystem. I would like to add that the intangible cultural heritage of UNESCO is also present in Tajikistan. You can see the list now on the slide. It's Shashmakom, Navruz, the celebration of the Eastern New Year, and the application was made together with other countries, Uzbekistan and others. Oshipalav, rice mill, Chakan, Falak, Hoja Nasreddin stories, folk stories, silk production, Sada, a winter festival, Teship, a decoration of written texts with gold, and the production of textiles, Atlas and Adras. As you can see, Tajikistan seriously works on the preservation of cultural heritage and the development of tourists, and I'm convinced that our common work will help us preserve cultural treasures for further generations and strengthen the economic development of our region through tourism. Thank you, dear colleagues. Let me use this opportunity to invite you to the International Touristic Forum that will be held by our university together with other universities in the end of this year. Thank you for your attention. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sharopov, for your presentation. I think that other participants have already prepared a schedule till the end of the year concerning the visits, because the purpose is to show the dialogue of cultures in its first-hand experience, and it is impossible without personal meetings. Today, during our session, we have heard such a combination of words like sustainable tourism. It is not a typical combination of words. And our respected speaker, Mr. Sharopov, outlined the work of Tajikistan on the work with intangible heritage. Now we understand that this is one of the ways to preserve the heritage when we state that a certain piece of heritage is intangible. Many other countries are going through this process just as our colleagues, and we are ready to move forward with it. Once again, I would support the thesis of the importance of education. We must know those who create a circle of support of preservation of heritage and traditions, inter alia through the development of tourism. Now, I would like to give the floor to the chairman of the board of directors of national theaters of Turkish-speaking countries, Doctor of Philosophy in Philology, a Doctor of Arts professor, and honored artist of Azerbaijan, Mr. Israfilov. The floor is yours. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Fazleva. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, as you know, there are many studies and books analyzing linguistic, aesthetic, and other aspects of cultures. Being one of the oldest world religions, Islam provides a great influence on arts, science, decorative arts, but to some extent it hindered the development of some arts, some kinds of arts, like painting. So It is not the case for all countries, because Allah is beautiful and He likes the beauty. Therefore, He cannot object to the arts that give happiness to people. So Allah blesses various creating activities. And many academicians and wisdom people, based on many translations of Islam Sharia, believed that singing and making portraits, dancing is not good. However, during the medieval period, um, some rulers were had some kind of divertisement when their servants sang and danced to make the rulers happy. Uh, in the countries of the Muslim East, in the palaces of rulers, wine was accompanied by singing and dancing. To figure it out, we may refer to the sources, maybe. So after adopting Islam, people had to adapt their traditions to the standards of Islam. And notwithstanding the process of adaptation, some national rituals, games, and folk traditions preserved their power during the further ages. The development of political and economical processes in the Middle East, in Iran, Turkey, in Muslim countries, stimulated further development of folklore and the theatrical and staging activities, due to the creative activities of various peoples. In other words, Islam standards and requirements mixed up with some contemporary norms in some Islamic countries. Anyway, during people's holidays, some staged performances were shown, the religious rituals were performed. The issue of appropriateness of music, dance, and theatrical performance were touched upon. Of course, there were some bans, but the punishment for the violation of this ban was far from those described by certain witnesses. Of course, there were some punishments, but it was not even close to the terrible Inquisition. No one burned people like Giordano Bruno was burned. Just imagine if a scientist or scholar dies, the whole world dies. It is one day in science is equal to 40 years in God praying. These are the quotations from the Islamic philosophy. Recognition of the rights of women and the principle of equality between people. All this proves the progressive nature of Islamic thought. But at the same time, we obviously see its antagonism to dancing, to some visual arts, in particular to portraits. So Islam contributed a lot to the development of architecture, calligraphy, and other arts, not only supporting them, but sustainably fueling their development. This question was analyzed by many Islamic scholars. In this respect, I have to mention also the issue of confessions. I mean the Sunni Shia madhabs in Islam existing from old days till modern times. In particular, what helped in the development of theatrical culture and staged performances. This was touched upon in detail in the books and writings of Muslim scholars. Thus, there were cases of the killing of the grandson of Prorok Muhammad, and every month ceremonies are held there in memory of this event, staging the episodes of the strategy to people. It is considered acceptable. This theatrical performance is regulated by Islam norms. It deviates from, it is different, not like a Greek tragedy. It has its own aesthetics. If we follow the widespread principle when the goal justified the tools, we may say that someone violates taboos to achieve their goals. Such performances, called shabeh, later on became the basis for the development of theatrical culture for some people. What is important is the time and place, and in this case, the reality of these stage performances are close to the witness. What is important that the history of such stage performances fueled the interest to theatrical performances, and thus they contributed to the development of theatrical performance and its further development.
And according to this, any pressure or forbids was against any dramatic art. So then dramatic art started to develop in different way. According to the Islamic law, it's not possible to create a human. However, they are able to create puppets. Therefore, the participants of this mazhab were able to create a brilliant art, dramatic art, where the dialogues take place between the heroes, the scenic actors. And it proves that emanation of the speaker in the world of Islam is unlimited. So these actors were traveling all over the country, and they were narrating interesting stories, and people were extremely interested to see those scenic art. This entertainment scene were to uplift the spiritual level of people. So this scenic art, national art, was being created for hundreds of years, and it was the way to upbring the society and to educate them in culture and in Islam. So it is a very valuable heritage. The word of theater is a sacred word, is archetypes word. The analysis of epic books showed the contribution of Islamic culture. My own opinion that it requires additional analysis. Thank you very much for your attention. Dear Israfil, thank you very much for your presentation. I think that you have touched one of important topics. Thank you for merging us into the world of literature, of theater, of narrations. It's actually very important for the culture of every nation, and for this spiritual level uplifting. And let me share my opinion that the role of a scientist who studies art is very important for the society, because he teaches people to develop their culture through studying of fine art and history. And I think that it is relevant not only for the Russian Federation, but for other countries as well who want to perceive the meaning of culture. I think that we are all hungry for high quality experts in fine art amongst young generation. And I think that this can be one of the tasks of our future sessions. This multicultural interchange can let us work on the professional expertise of young generation. Thank you so much for your presentation. So we continue with our session. Dear colleagues, one of the organizers of our forum is the Kazan Federal University. And I have asked one of our participants, Rosa Akhmadieva. She's a provost of Kazan Federal University of Culture. She's an educational doctor. So she will finish our session. Dear colleagues, dear participants, the federal policy today is directed to the scientific research and educational program. We want to emphasize that the strategy of scientific and technical progress is written down until the next 5 years. And it is directed to the activity of scientific organizations and economic sector. And the big role is played by culture, of course. And I want to thank, first of all, our Islamic countries, together with the Ministry of Culture of the Russian Federation, who worked very intensively together during the last year, who developed the museum activity. One of our previous speakers, Boris Borisovich, is the president of Museum Association in Russia. Museums were presented in different international exhibitions. The topic of museums, of libraries, of music and textile also, and fashion are very popular nowadays in different conferences and exhibitions. And of course, Tatarstan Republic is an active participant of such exhibitions. Tatarstan Republic is very active in making dialogues on the basis of fashion and fine arts. Today, we can unite our efforts here because we have moved further in our progress, and our cultural code is encrypted now in a digital way. Therefore, we created an interactive museum, as you see on this picture. It was created by our students from all over Volga region. One of the laboratory of our digital university is engineering center. Thank you, thank you for your presentation about Aspara Fashion Week. It was also very helpful. Due to your support, we also provide demonstrate these fashion weeks, and we participated in the international exhibition of fashion in Moscow. Last week we had the second designer forum of the fashion. In November, as far as you remember, we had a round table in St. Petersburg where we discussed our cooperation and our culture code. Next, the Ministry of Culture of Russian Federation, in frames of 42 social economic initiatives, created centers of prototyping, of creative school, of laboratory art. This is one of new area of activities. Our institute is a coordinator of prototyping center and creation of museums and new dramatic stage art. So this is a new type of project for us, which includes both science and real economic sector. Next item that we work on is startup field. In our republic, we have around 12 businessmen, millionaires who have different startups. Next is educational program. Educational programs is one of our direction of activity. So we educate our students in CIS countries, in foreign countries where they exchange their experience, where they study digital transformation, where they have the opportunity for self-realization and development of their talents, where they are engaged in some useful activities. Next project you will see on this slide. It is called national project called Culture. It provides education in frames of a federal project, Artistic People. In 2021, it was 4,000 listeners in 55 regions of the Russian Federation, and up to 2023, it was about 6,000 listeners, attenders from 73 regions. We provide educational programs together with the Ministry of Education of the Russian Federation, and the next such project we will have on the 3rd July. Another direction is a digital transformation, which takes place in the area of culture, education, science, and other, which are implemented in different regions of Russian Federation. This week we had a conference of Association of National Academies, in frames of which huge research is taking place in the field of Islam culture. Our international activity includes active cooperation with organizations in different countries. Like recently we visited Serbia, Tajikistan, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Senegal, and everywhere we had some cooperational projects. And this activity is quite effective and resultive. Regarding scientific practical events, you see that students from the young age, they participate in this projects. So they start to study, they start to be educated since being in the womb of their mother. So a child from this embryo stage already penetrates information. So we educate children from the very young age. As we heard today, this is the example of bright preservation of cultural code, which includes design and graphical design. Partnership with different countries. These are the organizations with whom we cooperate, as you see on this slide. Once again, I want to thank our partners from Islamic countries. Only by this we can develop our common cultural values. So I thank you all for the cooperation, and of course I thank our chair of this session, the Deputy Minister, Deputy Prime Minister of Tatarstan, Leila Rinatovna, and who is also the PhD in education. So I thank you, dear Leila. So I think we have very good prospects, and we will move further. Thank you very much for your presentation, dear Rosa. I thank all the participants who are present here, dear listeners, dear participants, dear friends. Thank you so much for your attention, for your participation. So I want to ask you to give your applause to our wonderful speakers, our dear teammates, dear colleagues. Here we have present with us the Doctor of Sciences, the PhD in Sciences, Professor, everyone who is present here amongst our speakers. They are outstanding personalities in the world of education and in the world of development of culture and their countries, and they are great contributors in the culture and education in their countries. So it's not just the words, these are real practitioners. Thank you again so much for your participation. It is so pleasant that the audience inspires the speaker and inspires us to move further, to develop. So, dear colleagues, maybe you have questions to our speakers, to our distinguished presenters. Maybe if you have questions, you're welcome. Thank you. My name is Sergey. I'm representing the Central Direction of Buddhists in Russia. It was very interesting My question is to Farhod Razopovich about development of tourism in Tajikistan. So my question or comment or suggestion to you. The matter is in Tajikistan and also in Kazakhstan and in Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, there are so many Buddhist saints. You know that archaeological discoveries are taking place now. So pilgrim tourism has been developed now. So it is around 50 million of tourists exist. So my question to you about the development of pilgrimage, and many Buddhists who exist in Russia, they would like to visit these holy places. And so there are many Buddhist pilgrims in your country. So I think if you want to organize this places of pilgrimage for Buddhists, we will require your help. Thank you very much. When we talk about Buddhistic saints in Tajikistan, yes, there is such a place where we discovered the statue of Buddha, 12 meters long. And it feels like there is a state of nirvana near that place. So my opinion, Leila, is saying that you have to discuss this suggestion about the cooperation. So our next session we will discuss and sign the agreement. As far as I observe, you see how wonderful it is with dialogue of culture can take place and it can develop. You see that the Buddhist movement also takes place in Russia. This is multinational and multi-confessional Russia. Thank you very much for your question and for your answer. Dear participants, do you have more questions? Thank you all again. I have a mission to award our speakers with a pack of chak-chak, the national dish of Tatarstan. Chak-chak is a special product of Tatar kitchen. When the small pieces of dough are collected in the honey solution, it means that we are all like people who are gathered in this honey water of culture. And this is the model of uniting people. So I think that we will form our cultural community in the same way as this chak-chak cookies. Now I'm inviting you to make a common photo. I'm inviting you all to the stage. Thank you, dear colleagues.